But it wasn't without some excitement at the end of the fight, where Nate Diaz caught Leon Edwards toward the end of that 5th round. Did you think Nate was going to get it done, D-Bot?
Oh, man. I was like, man, this needed to be 6 rounds. This was Nate Diaz's comeback.
You and every Nate Diaz fan said the same thing. Thank you for downloading, listening to West Box Score. I'm Alex Gonzalez, joined once again by my compadre, Donald Paz. D-Bot, what's up, dude?
Yo, what's going on, Alex? How you been, brother?
I've been good, man. Another time this week. So nice we're doing this podcast twice. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you taking the time to listen to us twice in 1 week. It's always nice to hang out with D-Bot, and I'll hang out with you listening. So I appreciate it. But before we get started, I got to ask you to please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at WestBoxScore. Sonny Romano is the host of the Fox Crate podcast. He's on assignment, still working on that new episode. Keep refreshing your feeds. It's a podcast where vinyl meets culture. So when you want to get a little break from the LA sports talk that we do here, go listen to the Fox Crate podcast. It's a damn good podcast. Be sure to check it out. And also, we have an ever-growing group on our Discord channel. D-Bot, where's that link? In the show notes.
It's in the show notes, just like you said, right? Man. So, yeah, definitely shout out to all the people on Discord, Brianna Parker, Billy, Big Money Matt. I love how we have a nickname for my cousin. It's funny, but
of course,
you know what I mean? But he's a homie. Nahum as well. Everybody's jumped in. There have been some people hitting us up about a score session, like when's the next one? And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. I'm always telling them, like, oh, that's right. Let me hit up Alex so we can kind of schedule something, but we definitely want to get it on. And definitely our moderator, shout out to Rick. You know what I mean? He's holding it down for us there. But yeah, look out. Join the Discord group. We're definitely going to schedule another score session. It's been a while. So yeah, look out for that and just join. The link will be in our show notes.
Yeah, definitely. We have to set up a session soon just so that way people can air their grievances with me mainly.
Yeah.
I mean, like, really, oh, I can't believe you had that kind of take on that. And like, all right, hold on, wait, let me explain myself. So those are always great. It's always just great to chop it up with everybody, see how everybody else is doing out there. Because you guys take time to listen to us on our end, how we're doing, but we really don't get to hear how you guys are doing over there. And trust me, we do care. That's why we have the score sessions, because we care about the people who take time to listen to us, man. You guys are extended family, so we really appreciate that. And also, be sure to help us out if you can by clicking the link in our show notes for Sailor's Brew Coffee. It's a small coffee group out there in Pasadena, man. They make really good coffee. And if you click the link in our show notes and the links that we have in our bios on our social media, that helps us out. It helps you out to get some good coffee in your system, wake you up, and also helps us Sailor Brew, man, because they're an up and coming coffee shop based out of Pasadena. So without further ado, we got to talk about our Los Angeles Dodgers, man.
Defending
now's the
champs.
time. The reigning, defending World Series champion, Los Angeles Dodgers. You're right, D-Bot. Thank you. So when we last talked last week, they were just coming off of the NLCS rematch against the Braves, going into a series with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And of course, what do the Dodgers do? Do what world champions do.
Yeah.
They sweep the Pittsburgh Pirates because they're supposed to.
Yeah. Teams
Teams in last place, they gotta take care of business against teams like that.
Yeah.
Now the Dodgers recently were at home hosting the Texas Rangers out of the American League West. This is where I wish Sonny was here to give us a recap of why we should look out for the Rangers, who are in last place of the AL West. But of course, the Dodgers should have swept them. They didn't.
No.
As we're recording this now, they are up in the third game of the series, so they're hopefully going to win that series. But that second game of the series, D-Bot, cause for concern for you, man? Losing 12-1?
I want to say yes, but it's so funny to think that game 1, the Dodgers won it 12-1, and then game 2, the Rangers won it 12-1, which is so weird to see that. But at the same time, it's again, this is the Dodger team that right now is trucking in the right way. They're only a game and a half behind the Giants, who are number 1 in the NL West. So For the most part, it seems like the Dodgers are taking care of the season, which is the most important part of any team in any sport, is take care of the season. Don't do the whole like we're looking ahead at postseason. No, like really what's in front of you is the only thing you should worry about. And I think for the most part, the Dodgers, especially in this game right now, 5th inning, they're up 4-0. They should be able to put this team away. The first game when they were up 12, when they won 12-1, I did feel like, oh wow, like the Rangers really are that bad if the Dodgers are really like taking it to them. I think it was like 12-0. And then and then the Rangers, I think, only got like 1 homer, I believe, and then that was the final score. But then it was kind of like, yo, what's going on? But then yesterday's game, which is game 2, when they lost it 12-1, I know Bauer was trending on Twitter because he was the starting pitcher, and it just kind of made it look like, even though I feel like he had an okay, inning, an okay start, like. I think anything, if you're the starting pitcher, usually the loss will fall on you for not, taking care of your innings. But, man, I mean, 4 earned runs, it's not a good look. And, yeah, it's just bad.
Yeah, I agree with you. 4 earned runs is not a quality start by definition, right? You got to go 6 innings, give up less than 3 runs, and you're considered to have a quality start. Obviously, this is not one, but he's had so many of them that I kind of like his outing. I give him a little bit of a pass. I think why he was trending is because he got his first hit as a Dodger. So that was exciting to actually see him run out the base hit to the right fielder. And the right fielder still almost got him.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, goddamn, Bauer, you are, as much as you really focus on your analytics and your training, you are not an athlete, dude. And I can say this as someone who's also not an athlete, because I see it. When I see it, I recognize it there. Non-athleticism, recognize non-athleticism there.
Yeah.
But honestly, this is not so much on Bauer as it is on the offense, not helping him out. Only giving up 4 runs is not terrible, but it's also not great. But it's also, where's your run support?
Yeah,
and he pitched 115 pitches, something along those lines. When he goes out there on his outings, he throws a lot of pitches, which worries me for the postseason for him, because he's really hasn't been a pitcher who's played much in the postseason. I think last time when he was actually with the Cleveland Indians back when he was a rookie, maybe.
Yeah,
was the last time he's actually sniffed the postseason.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm worried we're gonna see some arm burnout from him when it matters most.
Yeah.
So I really want to see Dave Roberts, pull back on his innings pitch, on the amount of pitches he throws. But mind you, he works, the hitters work to count him, so that's why he throws a lot of pitches.
That's true.
But it's just like, damn, dude, it's something's got to be recognized, regulated here as far as his pitch count goes. D-Bot, the Dodgers take on the Philadelphia Phillies next. What do you think about that series?
Man, the Phillies are a great franchise, but I think that they should be able to take care of the Phillies. And I think that the Phillies are at home, right? Yeah, they're going to be here. So, yeah, I mean, again, my thing with the Dodgers is just like at least defend. I know they went through that slump and now they're on the come up again. And I just think that the Phillies should be a team that they should be able to take care of. Not much out there except for Bryce Harper. All right.
Bryce Harper. And you got Bryce Harper, you got Andrew McCutchen, you got, of course, Aaron Nola as a pitcher out there for that team. Obviously a franchise, Didi Gregorius. You have a team here that isn't the Phillies of yesteryear, right? It's with the exception of a Bryce Harper out there. Of course, JT Remoto behind the plate.
Yeah.
They have names.
Yeah.
They had these are teams that players that stand out at you because they're obviously the NL East is a division that's very arms race heavy. What are the other teams doing? We're gonna keep shooting, sign big free agents. We gotta keep signing big free agents. And sometimes the teams don't mesh well. So it's obviously a hodgepodge of really good players with some not so good players. And that's why, and it's befitting. It shows you what's going on in the standings. They're only a game above 500, but only 3 games back of the Mets.
The Mets, yeah. That's a big. I think anything above 1.5, maybe 2 games. If you're that team that's ahead by 3 and more, that tells you a lot about your division. The drop off. Yeah. So yeah,
exactly. So this should be it's a 3-game series here at Dodger Stadium that on Tuesday, when you're all as you're listening to this now, Dodgers would have had full capacity now. So it's going to be interesting to see what that's going to look like. A full opening Dodger Stadium. I think they're calling it reopening day. Tuesday, June 15th against the Phillies. So that's going to be exciting.
A lot of bobbleheads coming out soon.
Bobbleheads coming out, man. The bobbleheads are back. There's that Mookie Betts bobblehead. There's the Corey Seager World Series MVP bobblehead.
Shoot. Anyone you're targeting?
No, not really. Dude, I actually just sold all my beloved Dodger bobbleheads.
Oh, okay.
I was just going through there, all like my junk. It's like that spring cleaning where you go a little bit too crazy. And as soon as you're done selling them on OfferUp, it's kind of like, man, should I have sold them? Yeah. But then you look at the more space you have in your garage, and then like the extra $100, a couple $100 that you made from them, like, it doesn't matter now. Those are just pieces of plastic. I'll always have the Dodger memories in my mind and in my heart. So to me, a bobblehead is kind of not worth it. Like, I kind of would prefer to go to a Dodger game on a non-promotional day, just because those tend to be usually a bit cheap, usually a little bit cheaper on game time and stuff like that. Obviously, nobody's like, oh, they're not giving anything away for free. I don't want to go. Like, that's the game I want to go to. It's cheaper.
I have a question then. Now, since you're the bobblehead collector of the two of us, I only have 2 right now, which is the first one was given to me from the Dodgers for the 5K run.
A reformed bobblehead collector.
So what's the rule about going? Because I've heard people say like, yo, like they're only for the first, 40K or whatever.
Yeah.
Is it that competitive to know that you have to be there at a certain time to get a bobblehead? Or
I honestly don't know, but I also know if you get to the game on time, you're going to be fine. You don't need to like be there like first in line to get to get your bobblehead. I know for a fact I always like getting to games early enough to see warm-ups. I've said this before on the show. Obviously Dodger games like to see the batting practice and stuff. So I like to get there that early, so I never had an issue with bobbleheads. One time though, I remember going to a Dodger game super late, and it was like a spur of the moment last game. I got invited by a friend of mine. And I get to his house like 30 minutes before the first pitch. I'm like, okay, we're running a little bit late, right? But let's get going, right? Like, oh no, we got to pick up our other buddy first. He's gonna go with us too. And like, God, dude, in my neurotic mind, I'm like, we gotta get to the game. It's a bobblehead night. It's bobblehead night. Yeah. Sure enough, we pick up that buddy. He's like, oh, we want to go eat before the game. And like, at that point, I'm ready to lose it on these guys. I'm like, you sons. But I can't say anything because I was invited. It's not like my ticket. So, but needless to say, by the time we get there, like I'm not lying to you. We get there, they're not even charging for parking anymore.
Wow.
They're just laying us in the gates because it's already the 8th inning. The 8th inning. Dang. When you pull up and like these guys, why even bother? Why even bother? So we go and they said, I go to an usher. I'm like, by any chance, do you guys have any bobbleheads left? They're like, oh no, those are all gone. But if you go to guest relations, they could probably try to get you one or whatever. I did that whole spiel, never got a bobblehead. But the reason I bring up the story and why it matters so much to me too, this was the Eric Gagne years.
Oh, okay.
So we finally get to our seats, and as we're going there, we're seeing Eric Gagne come out to save the game. That whole "Welcome to the Jungle" music is playing, and it's just like, okay, cool. We've actually made it right on time, even though it's the Dodgers. Gagne's coming out to close the game, whatever. Gagne blows the save. He had already blown his consecutive save streak, so it wasn't a big deal, but also, that sucks. We didn't get to see Gagne make a save. Bottom of the 9th happens. Adrian Beltre comes up to tie the game. So we go to extra innings. 11th inning, Adrian Beltre comes up again, and he wins the game in extra innings with a walk-off home run.
Oh, wow.
So that's why one of the reasons why Adrian Beltre will always be one of my favorite Dodgers. Seeing that moment right on time, late game, like, why are we even going? Might as well go check it out. Adrian, getting to see the walk-off Adrian Beltre home run, man.
That's dope.
One of my favorite Dodgers of all time still.
That's dope, man. One time I went to a Dodger game, and I actually got the tickets on StubHub, and there was a promotional thing happening, and then they were like, oh yeah, we can't get you the promotional item because you got the tickets on StubHub.
Oh, what?
So yeah, I guess there's like a rule against like if you buy it from like a third party site, Vivid Seats, StubHub, SeatGeek or whatever, like it doesn't count like I guess it just doesn't count. So
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was weird.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, and I was kind of like, all right, I guess I'm not getting the item, but yeah, it was kind of weird that they did that. I was like, okay,
this is how Karens are made, bro.
Yeah,
there's no that makes no sense.
It doesn't, right? But they're like, yeah, you got it on StubHub. It doesn't qualify. You have to get it through the whatever the official Dodgers thing is. I don't know if it's Ticketmaster or whatever, but yeah, it was weird. But that's like my experience with promotional nights. But outside of that, I always wonder, like, man, I wonder, like, do you have to get there early and stuff? Obviously, now we know don't be there at the 8th inning, but you're too late if you're coming in at the 8th inning. Yes.
But you don't have to pay for parking though. That's the pro tip there.
Oh, that's cool, man. No, for real, dude. But yeah, that was insane. I always think, you know what I was thinking? I was wondering, why doesn't the Dodgers just do like a Funko Pop night, where they just get Funko Pop players? That's like another way of kind of revamping the collectibles, for someone like you who now gave up on bobbleheads and now maybe you'll move on to Funko Pops. Maybe they'll entice you that way.
I left bobbleheads and I used to collect McFarlane sports figures as well, just because I love the details on those. And Funko Pops, that's so funny. The same friend who invited me to this game, who got me there late, is now a Funko Pop seller on Instagram.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to Uncle Funko on Instagram.
Oh, there. Shoot. Nice.
He is a big Funko Pop seller. He's at every place, like first in line for these like exclusives and what have you.
That's hardcore.
So it's so fun. He's hardcore, man, for sure.
Yeah.
And then, but he's also selling these soda pops, which are not like these Funkos that are inside little soda cans, which are longer. They're not as short and stubby.
Yeah.
And they still got the big Funko Pop like kind of vinyl heads.
Yeah.
But not as they're a bit more detailed. So I kind of like the way those look more than the Funko Pops. But yes, I think the LA Kings had a Funko Pop for Luke Robitaille once, and I got that. And I was really stoked for that. Obviously, the Kings hockey, not many bobbleheads at hockey giveaways.
Yeah,
but they do a Funko type of character. I think that's
it feels like bobbleheads are a baseball thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they work in other sports. Like, I don't know how crazy that would look. Like, I don't know if I'd go crazy for a LeBron James bobblehead. You know what I mean? Like, I appreciate it, but I feel like I like it when it's a baseball thing. I don't know.
I think the LeBron James bobblehead would be him complaining. So it would be more of the head shaking to the side more than up and down.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right, moving on from the MLB to the UFC. UFC 263 was over the past weekend, and that main card was pretty stacked. Obviously, the top three, the last three fights was what everybody was talking about, because you had Nate Diaz versus Leon Edwards in a welterweight 5-round battle. Even though this wasn't a co-main event, it still was scheduled for 5 rounds, and it went 5 rounds. It was Nate Diaz being Nate Diaz, just absorbing a lot of punishment, but also dishing out some punishment as well. And I think Leon Edwards, if anything, made himself to come out like a real star in this one. He got the decision after 5 rounds. Really, no question about it when it went to the judges.
Mm-hmm.
Leon Edwards had his way with Nate. A lot of leg kicks, a lot of just 1-2 combinations, working on a lot of good clinches and elbow strikes that cut up Nate at one point. But it wasn't without some excitement at the end of the fight, where Nate Diaz caught Leon Edwards toward the end of that 5th round. Did you think Nate was gonna get it done, D-Bot?
Oh man, I was like, man, this needed to be 6 rounds. This was Nate Diaz's comeback.
You and every Nate Diaz,
you know what I mean? Like, it was like,
thing.
This needed to be one more round. I mean, again, it's kind of a bummer that by the time it felt like there was a turnaround, we don't know. Maybe that would have been it. And the 6th round would have came and he would have just gotten beat up, I mean, even more so. But like, it just felt like for that moment, it was like, damn, dude, he's really fighting back, especially because of how bloody he looked and everything. You're just like, damn, dude, this guy's taking it, man. He's kind of bulletproof. I mean, it's kind of funny to think that at the end of the fight, like you were happy for Leon Edwards in terms of like he won it and he did a good job of doing what he needed to do. But at the same time, like you felt like Nate Diaz was like the story for being able to like take the punishment and, for the age he's in and how long he's been doing it for and all that. But it is interesting. And I thought that was a crazy fight. But yeah, I did feel like Nate Diaz for a moment was like, oh man, this is kind of turning around. So it looked like he was kind of looking for like the KO to just figure out if he could kind of steal the fight, in that regard.
Yeah, 'cause that's all he had left. I mean, he had a lot of strategy throughout, like just stopping and kind of like bending off to the side, like, come on, you're gonna come fight me over here or what? Like, it was just very, very Nate Diaz mind games being played. And I would love it when where there was one time where Leon landed a really good combination, and even Nate Diaz Game of Thrones was like, oh, that got me good.
Yeah, I saw that.
So,
I saw that. Yeah, he gave him props too afterwards, right? So
yeah, he did. And I love the way he's like, I could. He's like, in a real fight, I would have had him. He was sleepwalking out there. And I was like, man, but come on, bro. Like, don't try to sell this guy short. He got you.
He got you
on
this one.
He
did. Fair and square.
I mean, you tagged them, but you didn't get the win.
Yeah.
That's there's a difference there, bro. Like, come on.
Yeah, the fight that fight slipped away from him. So it's like, don't pretend.
But that being said, the next Nate Diaz fight, you best believe I'll be right there sitting down ordering it again. So it's so funny. It's very almost like WWE-esque, where even in a loss, Nate Diaz still comes out a winner because of the way he lost.
Yeah.
And that's why we always watch his fights, because he still presses forward. He still has that heart of a champion.
Yeah.
He's a true fighter. So that, I mean, he's going to go out on his sword no matter what. So it doesn't matter. Like we're still gonna ride with him, even in a loss.
That's very true.
And man, so the co-main event now, title fight for the flyweight championship, Davison Figueiredo versus Brandon Baby Assassin Moreno, and this is a rematch from last year's, fight of the year candidate, and. Just watching those first 2 rounds, you just had the feeling like this is Brandon's fight. He's going to take it. He's going to take it. He's got to take it.
Yeah.
And it was it felt decisive, but close at the same time, if that makes any sense to you, D-Bot.
It does.
But, and then in that 3rd round, the chance he had and just jumping on him and taking him down first and then getting the back. Cause I think he had a chance like that in the 2nd, where he had a really good chance at getting his back, getting Figueiredo's, Brandon Moreno taking down Ferguson, getting his back a little bit, but slipping. Figueiredo got out, but then in that 3rd round, when Moreno takes Figueiredo down with that trip, and then works the submission the first time, gets like that rear naked choke in, doesn't really have it, and you're like, that's okay. He's not gonna be able to get it. But then when he's about to slip out and then he slips it back in even tighter, and it's like, oh wait, this might be it. This might be it.
Yeah.
And when he taps, it's like,
that was
the
wild.
Euphoria there, man.
That was wild. Yeah. No, for sure, dude. I felt the same way too. And I guess, the way Brandon reacted afterwards, like how emotionally it was, it made it feel that much more. And I think sometimes you forget that, like, because these fighters are human and that, like, they do feel like wins and losses and whatnot. And man, seeing Brandon Moreno win it's insane. It's insane when the fight is good, but like the story is like what happens afterwards. And this was one of those where it was like, Viva Mexico, definitely history made, right? First Mexican-born fighter to win a title. And I was kind of like, yo, this is insane. And I mean, again, the story was great. The fight was great. I was like, same as you. Thought the first 2 rounds could have been 50-50, obviously title, maybe favored to the champion. But yeah, man, when he came in and got that submission, it was like, oh, shoot, he did it. He really did it. So that was insane.
Yeah, he was with the last pick on the Ultimate Fighter a few seasons ago. He was actually cut by the UFC after, being stagnant in his 2 fights. And then eventually comes back, fights for the draw, obviously, last year, fight of the year candidate there, and then comes back and just is now the first ever Mexican-born UFC champion, man. It's just like, it's so cool.
Yeah,
and from all the accounts, and since last year, he's been, that fight was in December of last year, and all of this year now, he's been working with the UFC Spanish commentator team. So he's been doing a lot of the play-by-play for the Spanish side. So he's very, he has a good mic presence, obviously. He's, very well spoken. So that's very key, obviously, to be marketed by the UFC. And when UFC announced Venom as their new clothing line sponsor a few months ago, Brandon Moreno was one of the models who was modeling the new gear.
Yeah.
So they give those to like well-known fighters, like back when Reebok deal was first announced, they had the Ronda Rouseys and the Conor McGregors, all posing for those new kits. So this just shows you what UFC thinks about this fighter as marketability wise. So that's great. That is amazing that we have a Latino right here representing us in mixed martial arts. It's incredible to see. And I mean, I know I'm speaking for you a little bit here, Debop, but I know you feel the same way. We're going to ride with this guy now, right? Till the wheels fall off,
yeah,
right?
For real, dude. I think that this is huge. I mean, I'm already seeing the whole him and Canelo kicking it together, being at events. And I think this is great for the UFC, man, because I think for the most part, they've always had Brazil's attention. You know, they've always had certain countries have UFC's attention, Russia and whatnot. So to see this happen, I think this is going to be UFC's move to Mexico. Maybe possibly an event there. You know what I mean? Things like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They've had some events there in Mexico City, and they've been really big. They have been big because obviously they Cain Velasquez back before. He was not Mexican born, but he has the big brown pride tattoo across his chest.
I remember that.
He beat Brock Lesnar. Yeah. So and UFC's got some Mexican fighters on their roster. Like some of them. Alexa Grasso stands out to me on the women's strawweight side.
Yeah.
Irene Aldana is out there, a women's bantamweight fighter. So and of course you got his name escapes me right now, but I see him fighting. I remember his knockout against Korean Zombie, and I want to say in Pantera. I forget his full name, but I just know him as his nickname. But he's gonna fight. He has a fight coming up soon. Actually, I want to say it's in a few weeks. It's a UFC fight night that's coming. Oh, that's right, Yair Rodriguez. I could not remember his name for the life of me. He's taking on Max Holloway. That fight is terrifying for Yair. There's no way he's gonna win.
Yeah.
I love Yair. I'll never forget, like I said, that back it was at the last second too of a 5-round main event against Korean Zombie, that Korean Zombie was winning that fight. But at the very last second, Korean Zombie goes in for a punch. Yair ducks, comes back up with a rising elbow that catches Korean Zombie and knocks him out with 1 second left in the fight. So that was an amazing finish. But Max Holloway is a different animal.
He is.
He's a different beast.
Yeah.
So I will be rooting, obviously. This is one of those fights where it's like wrestling when you're cheering on and you're like, both these guys.
Yeah.
Because this is going to be a fight where you're like, I don't want to pick somebody to win or lose. I just want to be entertained by this fight.
Yeah.
And I'll be happy with either guy. Both awesome guys. But back to what I was speaking on about Mexican fighters, Yair Rodriguez being one of them. And just going back to shouting praise to Brandon Baby Assassin Moreno, the fighting pride of Tijuana, Mexico, man.
Yeah.
Just amazing. Congratulations once again. So main event time, Izzy Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori. Stylebender just doing what Stylebender does. What did you think of that entrance, by the way?
I loved it. The whole Raiden hat with the mask.
It's because he loved the Mortal Kombat movie. I told you.
Yeah. And that was the crazy part. The mask had that whole kind of Shogun style mask, which I guess is a tribute to Scorpion and whatnot with Raiden's hat on it, which was great. I love the entrance. This was a good fight.
Coming out to some Linkin Park, Somewhere I Belong, dude. Yeah. It's like,
perfect.
New rock.
Perfect. Yeah, that's the perfect kind of band you want to have. Linkin Park, especially that early Linkin Park. I definitely like their first, I want to say the first three albums. I like the Hybrid Theory. I even like that remix version that they made afterwards, Reanimation. And then I forgot the third one. But yeah, the one before Minutes to Midnight, and then after Minutes to Midnight.
Minutes to Midnight. That's where they kind of fell off.
I kind of felt, I felt like it's not the same band anymore. But definitely appreciate that, and that's kind of like the good Linkin Park that you'd want to come out to if you're like a anime fan and whatnot. Because a lot of anime folks definitely use their music for like their little sliced up videos and whatnot. So definitely perfect for Izzy to come out to something like this for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, Izzy just takes care of business, man. Like did not lose a round this time. No. I love the way this was one of the fights was made, and why Marvin Vettori, why we were a little, myself included, a little worried about, he could pose a problem for Izzy because he's actually beating him in one round before. This time, Izzy just left no doubt in anybody's mind. Like a true champion, just like, he won that round. Okay, I'll give him that round.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to give him any more.
Yeah, this was a master class. A master class in fighting. Man, I think definitely there's a lot of highlights in this one. Definitely the first one that I can think of is when he was on the floor and Vittori had them on a kind of like he was about to lock him like on a choke, and he broke out of it on the floor and turned around and it started like punching him.
Going at him, getting the ground.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, that never happens in the UFC. Usually, once you're clinched in like that, it's almost done for you. You either have to figure out how to slip out or something. But the fact that he really like outpowered him, you know what I mean? That was insane, and that's when you kind of felt like, okay, this is definitely gonna be Izzy's win coming up. And this was like the third round when it happened. So yeah, it was insane.
The amount of skill that Izzy has to pull that off, it is amazing. That welterweight. That middleweight division is just his for the taking right now. He's gone through everybody pretty much now. And they're probably going to run back the Robert Whittaker fight at this point, which is the only other fight you can make. I mean, Robert Whittaker is number one contender, but I wouldn't mind seeing a Derek Brunson take him on, maybe a Jared Cannonier, but it's just, he's night and day. He's night and day above him. So it's just, just very similar to Max Holloway in that sense.
Yeah,
where
that's true.
They're just head and shoulders above the division. It's just going to be a matter of who's going to get them on what night. Right? It's just, that's what UFC is all styles make fights. You're going to catch them on one little miscue because their style is so different than yours. And that's why we're going to have a new champion. Then Izzy's going to come back up to try to reclaim his title. But Izzy being the last style bender that he is, I don't think he has any style flaws, really. Like, nothing really stands out to me as like a weakness that he has. D-Bot?
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. I feel like, him, again, this looked like a masterclass to me. It felt like nothing he did was wrong. It felt like everything was right. It was like a very, like, this is how you beat somebody when you're in a middleweight division. And it was insane. But definitely his styles, the way again, his ability to, weave himself out of punches. There was like probably 2 combo punches that happened where he weaved out of them all. Like, it was like insane to see how his head was just moving around. It felt very Matrix-like, you know what I mean? It was just like, yo, what the heck is this, like Keanu Reeves right now, right here? Because it was insane. But like, I thought that was an amazing thing to see. The other part, I mean, even at the end when the one when he grabbed his butt was really funny too. He like, and I know that one was like, it became a GIF on Twitter.
Was he punching his butt? Look, he was punching his butt.
No, he squeezes it. Like he's doing like a little check, like checking up on him or something. Of course, it was like probably like a couple seconds left before the bell rang. And I think he kind of knew it. And then at the end, obviously, when he trolls him with the punches, and then he pretends to cry as he falls on the floor or something. That was, the ultimate, like, oh, this guy's nothing. And I think it's funny to see that he says it like very like, this guy's nothing. Like, he shows it on the mat.
Yeah, for sure. Very entertaining UFC 263 in the books there. And I got to say, before we wrap up, I got to say, we got to send our well wishes, right, to Christian Eriksen, Denmark star over there. Because over the weekend, right, D-Bot, you want to tell the audience why we want to send our well wishes?
Yeah, so Christian Eriksen unfortunately suffered, I believe it was heart failure in the middle of the pitch it was the Euros tournament, Denmark versus Finland. He plays for Denmark. I forgot what the minute was in the game, but they were in the middle of the match when they're giving him the ball and he just collapses on the floor. And when he collapses, that's when it got really concerning. His teammates went to check up on him. The ref goes over there. They call the medics. He's unresponsive for a while. It got really, really sad. I mean, you've never seen this in soccer happen. Like, I can't think of the last time this happened in any sport where a player just collapses in the middle of the field. Yeah, I believe about 30 minutes later, I want to say, there was an update that said that he's stable, that they were able to get him back up. And I think at this moment, he's still in the hospital recovering. But it looked like it was a cardiac arrest issue. But yeah, it was a really heartbreaking thing to see. They ended up delaying the match. I think they ended up playing it like hours later. But yeah, that was really bad. But prayers and thoughts go out to Christian Eriksen and his family, and his teammates. It's really tough to see stuff like that, man. We love the sport. We love rooting. We love cheering. But man, like you start to realize about like when things like this happen, you realize, these people are human, and you just want them to be healthy and alive, and just to bring that entertainment that they're meant to bring you. But you definitely don't want to see something like this where someone falls and collapses.
Yeah, throughout the rest of the Euro tournament, I was watching some of, I think it was Ukraine versus, I want to say Ukraine versus Holland. And there's signs everywhere that say, stay strong, stay strong, Christian, stay strong, Christian. So trust me, the support is hopefully gets to him. Obviously, just know we're all sending him positive vibes right now through the medical condition that he's suffering through right now. But fingers crossed, he's going to be okay. He's, like you said, he's stable in the hospital now. So we only wish him the best on a recovery, and hopefully getting back to the pitch one day to do what he loves. But obviously, number one overall, his personal health, and hopefully he gets well soon, man. You could get back on like I said, hopefully get back onto the pitch, man.
Yeah.
Get back onto the pitch, but obviously just your own personal health is overall number one.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, we'll be covering the Euros for you more next week, and the Copa America that's ongoing, the Gold Cup that's about to get started, and MLS will finally be back up and running after their international break. Be sure to give us a rate and review on Apple Podcasts. That helps us out. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at WestBoxScore. So that's it for us this week. D-Bot, see ya.
Later.